Well, hi, welcome back, everyone. So, I really wanted to do a video about this girl in one of the comment section about goth stuff. But for sakes of putting out a video, I had this one ready to go, all the stuff that I needed. The other one, I will actually have to pull, like, a bunch of goth punk, goth rock artists talking about their political ideas and how the goth scene, the goth genre got started. Some want to debate whether it's counterculture or subculture, but it's really kind of been counterculture to the mainstream, as many of the original artists have been not just protested, but even arrested at times, because of vocalizing their opinions on things, especially at the time that many of them came out, like, were working as artists when they first started releasing albums. But anyway, this is about, I wanted to talk about Blaire White. Oh man, there is this video that she made. It did not age well, and it aged very, very poorly in a very short span of time. I believe she recorded this, let's see, this was when did she record this shit?
So, why I am voting?
I don't know when she recorded it. I don't know. Somewhere around January, I want to say, or November. There's not a lot of work on my end because my response has already been given. So I'm going to play the clip of that now, and eventually I'm going to come back around to something that I think that we in the LGBTQIA plus community should do, and that is come up with nicknames for those who are traitors to the cause of civil rights, equality, rights, liberties, and freedoms for LGBTQ folks. A lot of them have cozied up to types of people that not only would have us suppressed, erode our civil rights, liberties, freedoms, equality that we have fought so hard for many, many decades, but some of them even worse. So some of them align with ideologies that would have us put to death simply for being who we are, not really committing any crimes. We're not hurting anybody. So I'm going to go ahead and play that clip now.
For Donald Trump, despite being a trans person, the idea that because I'm trans, my vote has to be promised to Democrats each and every time, regardless of their behavior or the candidates they put up, it's a bit demeaning. To believe that it is shocking that I'm trans and voting for Trump, you'd have to believe two things. The first is that you'd have to believe that I only care about trans rights, that I'm not capable or interested in the economy, foreign policy, the border, immigration, crime, a litany of things that my mind is actually, in fact, capable of pondering. Then the second thing you'd have to believe incorrectly is that I must assume or believe that Democrats handle trans rights in the correct way. You are not voting for a perfect candidate. No such thing exists. The perfect candidate, until Jesus Christ comes back, is not going to happen. I am voting for.
All right, yeah, it's not a very long clip. It's just a short. I will have a link to that just out of courtesy just out of courtesy, because it's someone else's clip, and copyright stuff is getting all wonky and weird. Even though I think this falls under fair use agreement, I mean, I am reacting, I'm making a response, like I'm showing you, okay, this is the original content. Now, the great thing is I already have what I want to say about this. I commented about it, and I have a screenshot of that comment, actually. Only part of it. It's kind of long, but this is my thoughts on it. And now, 7 months later, I posted this comment a month ago, so 7 months prior to that, so I'm thinking back in January is when she posted it. It's literally illegal to be trans in multiple states. Trump and his admin have been very aggressive in trying to erase trans people. Trump has banned and engaged in massive censorship and real censorship by the federal government, not having a video demonetized or an account suspended on social media, actually banning many words and phrases from scientific and academic studies specifically about trans people, non-binary people, and intersex people. He's got every trans person marked and outed by forcing them to have their biological sex on all their identification, making it hard and in some places impossible for trans people to travel, even just out of state. And there's a prime example of that with Fran Lab, who traditionally has been very libertarian in her political views, but I think she is leaving that deadpan behind. She is stuck in the state that she is currently in, regardless of wanting to leave. She cannot, because she's trans. She has a video about that. I can try to look for that video and leave links to it in the description. Yeah. Doing so has not improved the economy, has not improved so-called family values, has not improved education, has not increased job opportunities or development, has not decreased our national spending budget or deficit, has not strengthened our border, has not given us more freedoms, liberties, and civil rights. In fact, the opposite. Has not done anything to protect women, their rights, their equality, autonomy, spaces, or anything in any way. Now he's trying to take Pride Month from everyone, which I'm glad he did not. Maybe Blaire doesn't like Pride events, but it's not about what Blaire wants. It's there for those who do want to attend. It seems Blaire gets to dictate her wants and desires to everyone else, where she could just not participate if it's not her thing. But that's not good enough for her, because Blaire doesn't participate. She thinks no one should. Trump has also deleted anything within our government with any names of trans people or anything to do with them. Trump has made it so it's perfectly legal to discriminate against trans people on employment, housing, and banking. And this is starting to spread into to gays, lesbians, and bisexuals as well. This attack on trans people, particularly women, has led to harassment and even assault of biological women in the assumption that they are trans based on not looking feminine enough. In some cases, even committed by male law enforcement within women's spaces. And that's true. There's been several instances of cis biological women going into the bathroom and being reported to law enforcement and being harassed by law enforcement while they're trying to go to the bathroom, because people assume that they're trans because they don't look feminine enough, even though they are cis biologically female women. So that's happened. One of the executive orders of Trump literally only affected 10 people in the entire United States, while accidentally labeling everyone as a woman due to his lack of understanding of biology. There are 9 states trying to overturn gay marriage and legalize conversion therapy, which is just state-sanctioned torture, both physically and mentally. There's a really damn good reason why the LGBTQIA plus community wants to get rid of conversion therapy. It is torture. It's psychological and physical torture. There's really no such thing as appropriate conversion therapy. The point is literally trying to get someone to suppress who they are naturally and exist as naturally. I mean, it is wild, the things that they do, and very violent in many cases. They even have private ones that escalate it to sexual assault. You know, trying to get like somebody to associate their same-sex attraction to violence. Very, very horrible things. Stuff I've made videos about in the past about conversion therapy. And a particular guy that told his story on a Netflix series called Haunted, ascribing the people who physically and sexually assaulted him as being demons, and went on to open up an LGBTQIA plus sanctuary for teens, LGBTQIA plus teens, who have been abandoned by their families, to keep them away from being sex trafficked, or keep them away from conversion therapy places that engage in, if they're not physically torturing you, they are mentally torturing you. I don't even like the idea of having it available for those that want it. If somebody wants it, that's sort of internalized homophobia, internalized transphobia, where they're not at a place where they're accepting of who they are. And the reality is there's not really anything you can do about it. You can't change it. It's an inherent part of who you are. It's involuntary. I suppose you could make the decision not to act upon it, but that's really, really difficult to do. I mean, it's kind of like asking straight people, like, if you're straight, ask yourself, like, do you think it would be appropriate to tell you that as a straight heterosexual person, that you should not be allowed to act on your heterosexuality in any way, not just sexually, but even romantically. That we've seen how that's worked out within the churches, as they've committed lots of horrendous sex crimes that usually get covered up even by our own government. Trump also gave the green light to have surveillance on anyone who is LGBTQIA+. All this has also not made our foreign relationships better. They've actually gotten worse. According to the Trump regime, trans people do not even exist, along with non-binary people, and this is a real kicker, intersex people. The intersex thing, that, something that I believe we used to call hermaphrodism. But the thing is, in the human species, true hermaphrodism does not exist. So intersex is actually more appropriate. These people are not born with XY or XX chromosomes. They absolutely can be born with XYY, XXY, XXYY. There's even a type called mosaic where they have different chromosomal combinations depending on where you look. And they typically do have ambiguous genitalia. Sometimes they have pieces of both, and sometimes none at all. So that's a real medical thing that exists. The LGBTQ community, I believe, picked them up because it is relating to human sexuality and identity, and I guess we picked them up, but they're fine here in the LGBTQ community. We're fine to have them and help prop them up for equality and recognition that they exist, and that their civil rights and equality should be respected as well. They're born this way. You can't control the chromosomes you are born with, even if it's as you perceive it as a fluke. Many of them can even reproduce. So I don't really know what the issue is. Okay, so intersex people, which they do, and this makes it very hard for them to get medical treatment or be able to explain extra chromosomes or ambiguous genitals. Under Trump's regime, there's no hate crimes based on bigotry against trans people, because according to his administration, trans people do not exist. More books and media are banned in the U.S. due to Trump, more so than any other administration. Science has been attacked for pseudoscience, indulging health, biology, chemistry, neurology, and environmental science, as well as social sciences. We are absolutely in a time of Lysenkoism, of Neo-Lysenkoism, or science denialism. One of the things that got cut under RFK Jr., Musk, and Trump, and the shenanigans that they're doing, there was a research under NIH that does impact the LGBTQIA plus community, but it's also something that could impact heterosexual cis straight people, due to the mRNA vaccine. They opened up research to look into a vaccination for HIV, and it was getting really, really promising results. A vaccination for HIV could mean we could get the HIV infection rates down to 0. Once we get new infection rates of HIV down to 0, that means essentially for humanity, we can wipe that virus off the face of the planet, and no one will have to worry about getting it ever again. Well, that program was cut. It's cut. That pisses me off. We essentially could have been playing with a medical advancement that would get new infection rates of HIV all the way down to 0, to where we could wipe HIV off the face of the planet. And that got cut simply because when people think of HIV, they automatically associate it to the LGBTQIA plus community, and they don't think about the millions of people out there who are heterosexual, cis, straight, that also have to deal with HIV. That's fucked up. We have had multiple constitutional crises under Trump. There's no consumer protection or advocacy groups or organizations because of Trump, which several people have been a victim of that. And on the Neo-Lysenkoism thing, the science denialism thing, there was a video made by Professor Dave. I'll leave the link to that in the description. He's very, very pissed off as a science educator on what RFK Jr., Musk, and Trump have done to the science community. I mean, there was a study about transgenic mice, and most people have talked about this, especially on the left and Democrat pro-democracy people, because they didn't, the AI software that they were using to get rid of DEI sort of related stuff, really all that is code word for let's get rid of anything that has to do with marginalized groups of people, people of color, LGBTQIA plus people, and women. But one of the studies they got rid of was about transgenic mice. They were doing studies on that because the AI software conflated transgenic with transgender. So it was destroyed and stopped. Tons of people have lost their Social Security payments or retirement payments, disability payments, child care payments, SNAP, or food stamps, food for kids in low-income schools, Medicaid, and Medicare. Keep in mind, I wrote this before some of the things, like I'm mentioning things before they have happened. And he's gone ahead and done this with his, big bullshit bill. I suppose if you're big on government spending, this is great. But a lot of people will have to suffer as a cost, at a cost for it. And putting it into the state's hands, the sad reality is we're still paying the federal taxes, and the only way to get it locally is by increasing local taxes to get the programs that were completely gutted. So we'll have less agencies doing less for us, still paying the same amount, not really fixing any problems at all, while local taxes would have to increase exponentially to create those same programs that we're paying for with our federal taxes but don't go anywhere except into people's pockets and give tax cuts to centibillionaires, because nobody needs more money like a centibillionaire. They just couldn't possibly fathom the loss of money being paid through taxes. Homeless people have no idea what they're talking about, right? Being homeless, being horrible, like no, it's all a ruse. There's just a secret cabal of homeless people that are like, shh, this is the life, don't tell anyone. Hopefully you realize I'm being sarcastic. But if it needs to be clarified, that was being facetious. I think this is horrible. Like, obviously, centibillionaires should definitely be paying taxes. It's sad that working class people, somebody who makes $55,000 a year is essentially paying more in taxes than a centibillionaire. The tax breaks they were giving to these top 1 to 10%, it was something to the tune where this is one of the reasons why they were trying to cut all the funding to all these government organizations, is because the tax cuts would cost the federal government something to the tune of $6 some odd trillion, and so the only way that they really could think of to get that money was by cutting all these federal agencies. ACA health coverage and many other financial assistance programs. Our food and water supply has become compromised, where people are at much higher risk of dying from contamination of bacteria and parasites. Women are being arrested for miscarriages, which is an involuntary function. They violated our justice system by overriding due process and habeas corpus, and also adjudication, which Western democracy, which they are currently trying to completely remove, which could make us no longer a free society or a Western democracy first world nation. He keeps pardoning sex offenders. When I wrote this, the Epstein files had not become the thing that they are today, and so that's really interesting. Who've committed massive sex crimes. He's more obsessed with deporting Hispanic people, regardless of citizenship or criminal records, to foreign prisons, to where the FBI can't investigate real crimes like sex trafficking children. There's actually been a massive report of missing children in various areas across the United States, but we're not doing anything about it. Or we're not doing anything about corrupt capitalism, cronyism, crony capitalism, like basically having a bunch of subsidiaries sign up with one company to price fix and monopolization to control. They're doing this with housing, whether you rent, buy homes, or trailer homes. They're doing this. They're all kind of owned by different companies, but they contract through a company, particularly with apartment complexes, through a company called RealPage, which spits out prices for them every day. So they're not competing with each other, and they've inflated the prices so much that, like, let's say they were making 20% profit back when they were charging $600 a month for a one bedroom. Well, they've increased it by 51%, so that $600 one bedroom is now $1,200. So these apartment complexes can artificially inflate the market value by like only having 25% tenancy. They only need to fill 25% of the available units, and they're still making profit. So much profit, in fact, they can renovate and remodel the units. And that's all thanks to RealPage, that they can do that. And when they have all these vacant units, like I said, it artificially inflates the market value of them. Because if they suddenly come out and go, oh, we have 300 available units with the staggering homeless rates rising and job markets crashing and mass inflation and our economy is just tanking, it would cause the market value of those units to drop significantly. So they're doing this under instruction from RealPage to massively profit. So they're making 51% profit on top of the 20% they were already making, for a grand total of 71%. That's why they can have only fill 25% of tenancy. They're still making a profit by doing that because they've raised the rent rate so high. They're still making profit, even though they're only filling up 25% of their available units. Anyway, the DOJ is not investigating that. They were investigating RealPage. They were going to shut them down because they were an illegal market. They were creating a price-fixing situation through monopolization, very, very hostile marketing practices that are black and white illegal within our legal records. The only reason they found a loophole around that is because it has to do with AI tech, which we have very little regulation on. So, it could RealPage could put a lot of people out of their homes. Can't wait till that happens, considering, the Trump administration, a few states have made being homeless illegal. So you're basically saying it's illegal to be a certain level of poor in this country. Welcome to being a third world country, America. America's dead. He puts tariffs on an island of penguins. Everybody remembers that, in which is just really stupid. The budget and staff to the IRS, we've lost tons of money as the IRS can't audit the way they've done in the past. He's caused all our allies to isolate us while trying to ally the U.S. with countries that are hostile to American interests, such as Russia. He's killed tourism to our country. There's been lots of tourists that have been arrested and even tortured by ICE here in America. Tourists, here from other Western democratic European countries. He's there's been several from Australia, a couple from Germany, and so on. He's made it impossible for weather forecasters to forecast weather. We need to never let people forget about that. A lot of that to do with the Texas has to do with the person who was supposed to send out the warning. They were laid off as part of the cuts. And there are forecasters that have been open and honest about that their predictions on weather patterns will no longer be as accurate as they used to be because of all these cuts. He's cut off FEMA, which has devastated communities hit by flooding, wildfires, tornadoes. Again, I did this before the Texas flood. I did this before that happened. He cost the American taxpayers about $6 million for his golf games. That's fun, instead of supporting people who are your friends, family, community, and loved ones by paying taxes that go to things like disability and SNAP and HUD housing and stuff like that. You paid for Donald Trump to go golfing. He costs the American taxpayer. Oh, I already went over that. Which goes into Trump's pocket. Yeah. Every time he spends money at one of his golf courses, that's just reinvested back into his private company. Same with his crypto and his merchandise, which is unbelievable. The White House has merchandise. It shouldn't be ran like a company. It's not there to make profit. It's there to govern the country. But anyway, he cost the American taxpayer another $6 million for his birthday military parade. He's going to cost the American taxpayer and the country $6 trillion for his tax cuts to top 1%, to which they're still scrambling to find where to get the money to fund this. We are subsidizing the ultra-wealthy, not people who actually need it, like homeless people and disabled people and people who are living in poverty with children that need to feed them. He wanted to find a way to deport Native American people. So that was a fun article to read. That was really wild that he wanted to consider Native American people as not American and have them deported. So some of the people that he was deporting were people from Puerto Rico. Like, if you were to try to deport them back to their country of origin, you would just, take them right back to the United States? Puerto Rico is an American territory. They have American flags there. They use American money. They are American. Like, what the fuck are we doing? But yeah, some of the people who got deported to CCOT were American citizens in the sense that they came from Puerto Rico, which is an American territory. Well, that if there's any indication that this has nothing to do with citizenship and having stronger borders, it should be that this is about racism. That they didn't focus on criminals, and I mean, sure, some of them were, but a large percentage of them were people that were here legally. Anyway, he's deported people to CCOT who are from Puerto Rico, I just talked about that, and American territory due to the loss of funding to public health and safety for vaccines. There are children now dying from smallpox for the first time in 20 years. We had smallpox under control for the first time in 20 years. We are having children dying from smallpox because of RFK and his bullshit. We are falling into a recession and then possibly a depression. I think we're heading towards a depression. That's what I think, because of Trump. He scammed people out of millions with his digital currency while as a sitting president and trying to completely deregulate cryptocurrency, which is illegal and a conflict of interest. He caused tons of Americans' 401ks to crash. He refuses to release the Epstein files, which seems like the reason should be obvious on why that is. He's compiling a database of all Americans' personal and private information with Peter Thiel. He's violated multiple constitutional clauses. I gotta comment on the Peter Thiel thing. Like, if you're against big government, like, why wouldn't this outrage you? The fact that he's working with Peter Thiel, somebody who's openly been a eugenicist and white nationalist, who wants to create a database on all Americans. Like, for all the people who sat there and would say, I don't want to be like China. Well, we're becoming like China if we do this. I mean, they want to go through all of our social media, look at what we're posting, criminalize us for the thought police. Talking about a police surveillance state and social credit scores. What the fuck? He's deregulated the market to where companies are no longer accepting debit or credit cards and are now only accepting cash because the banks are increasing their charges for businesses to be able to use that service. Rent raise and housing in general are going to jump again because of Trump. Trump has removed anyone from the Library of Congress as well as the Smithsonian who is black, including Harriet Tubman from the government's historical records about the Underground Railroad. How bad do things have to get? I've been saying this for a long time. before they are bad enough to actually be considered bad? Does it take actually sending people to death camps? Are death camps only too far when white, non-trans, heterosexual men with no criminal record are sent to death camps? Seriously, what does it take? I've often thought that, sadly, that unfortunately things will not be considered bad enough by the people who follow Trump until they're as bad as they can possibly get and there's no way out. That leads to mass needless death. America is dead. I wanted to... Oh, wait. Well, no. We need to go over this. So, for people like Blaire White, so the black community has, created names for traitors in their community to go against their equality, their civil rights. People who want to be that pick-me tokenism. And side with, people like white supremacists and white nationalists and people who would oppress and suppress them, erode their civil rights, liberties, and freedoms, or possibly even have them forced back into forced labor camps, which is something Trump has talked about with the people he's detained at Alligator Auschwitz, and I'm perfectly fine calling it that, as several people have already died due to inhumane conditions. And that's the track record of what the death camps in Nazi occupied Germany were on. Is first they were imprisonment camps, and then they turned into forced labor camps, and then they excelled into death camps. So I'm perfectly fine calling it Alligator Auschwitz, and I do not think these memes going around of alligators eating the people in there, I don't think that's funny. You're literally saying it's funny, the thought of murdering people, and whether they're innocent or not, you don't know because due process has been skipped. So they finally released from CCOT the gay hairdresser, a gay 20-year-old hairdresser. Sorry, but Trende de Agua, is not going to allow a gay hairdresser in their gang. They're not too fond of that. That's wild. All because he had an autism awareness tattoo because his sibling had autism. And another thing, RFK Jr. talking about eugenics and big government. RFK Jr. wants a database full of everyone who has autism. What's he going to do with that? His understanding of autism is way off, too. So, fantastic. America's dead. But anyway, I think we should come up with nicknames for the traitors to the LGBTQIA plus cause towards our equality, civil rights, liberties, and freedoms. Personally, I think we should call trans women who are traitors to that. I think we should. We could call them Blairs, but I think just as an extra spicy meta commentary, due to many of them cozying up to people like white supremacists that would ultimately have them killed if they had their way, maybe we should call them whites. I know that's kind of shitposty troll kind of thing, but I think we should call them whites. And for gay men that have done the same, I think we should call them Rubins, named after Dave Rubin. To all the LGBTQIA plus and allies out there, I would love to hear what your thoughts on that are. What do you think of calling the people within the LGBT, the trans women who have betrayed the cause for egalitarian civil rights and what have you, whites or Blairs, and gay men who have done the same, Rubins, after Dave Rubin. What do you think of that? And I'd also be curious about what names we should think of for lesbians who have done this, or trans men who have done this, or non-binary people who have done this, or asexual people who have done this, or intersex people who have done this. I'm not sure that they're non-binary, intersex, and many of those types of people who have done so, but there have definitely been gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and trans people who have. It's really sad that they are trying to make friends with a group of people that want to have, if not have them completely and entirely oppressed, have them destroyed. So, I think we should have a nickname for them. And let me know what you think those nicknames should be. Oh, and by the way, Trump has been systematically removing letters off of the LGBTQIA plus acronym from the Stonewall riot memorial or museum. He's removed the Q, the T. He's removed all the letters, actually. The most recent one was bisexual, the B. So now, currently, the only two letters that stand at that museum are gays and lesbians. And that's it. So, yeah. And I really wanted to end this with a song that I found on TikTok that was really great, but I tried to reach out to the guy and ask for permission, and I think the answer is no. I haven't heard back, but I'm just going to assume no. I'm pretty sure it's copyrighted, so anyway, I'm not able to use it, but that's okay. I respect that. Anyway, so it's just going to be my song that I created. We Want It Dark. But with that, I'll leave you to your thoughts. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Ouch.